Hello, chefs. This is Chef's PSA. I'm your host, André Natera. Today we have two amazing guests who are visiting Austin with the Flavor Forays tour. Helene Kennan, founder of Kennan Food Strategies, and Coner Seargeant, vice president of restaurants at the Headington Companies in Dallas, Texas. We discuss AI, fine dining, and what the future holds for the culinary world. Helene had to catch a flight midway through, so I was lucky enough to have her join us even briefly. She's got a ton of insight when it comes to AI, so I really was looking forward to this conversation. After she leaves, Coner and I get to reminisce about the old days as sous chefs. I think you'll enjoy this one. Stay tuned. Great restaurants don't always bring customers in. Great stories do. Because in food, beverage, and hospitality, what you sell is only part of the story. It's the why behind it, the authority you create, and the experience that you build. Market Scale turns expertise into content that connects. Podcasts, video series, and industry education. Not ads, assets. Market Scale has brought Run the Pass and How to Manage Like an Executive Chef to life. Real-world examples of how great content leads the conversation. Because attention is earned, and the industry doesn't need more noise, it needs more leaders. I know you got to run, so we're gonna get right into the most interesting subject, at least for me, and that is AI. And I know you're big time into it and you're working with it right now, but where do you see this going? What do you think are some of the things that we're not thinking about when it comes to AI in the kitchen that chefs can use in the day-to-day? And what do you see kind of coming down the road?
Such a good question. But I think the initial thing is not what we are thinking about, but what you're right, what we're not thinking about, right? So because I don't really think we understand the potential of AI, not just in the food industry, but in any industry, in our real life or anything. But I know for sure that what we think of it now is kind of like, remember when the internet first came out and we were like, and there were websites like Epicurious and we could look for new recipes and we could get inspiration in different places. And now there's chatbots, right? You go into ChatGPT or some other AI platform, but it's so much more than looking for a recipe. It's so much more than, trying to understand a technique or it's so much more than that. What we're digging into now, and specifically the platform that I've been working with, which is Air Technologies, is to really understand artificial intelligence, recipe, menu, and data management. And that's important for big restaurants, as small restaurants, independent restaurants, as well as big food companies, right? Because you really need help and insight into driving, labor efficiency, menu development, get the right suppliers. I mean, it can help all of that. It can help all of that, chef. It is, we don't know the potential of its ability to learn either, right? So you embed certain things into an AI platform and then machine learning takes over. And when you make certain choices, the actual, the platform learns. So let's say you want to know really what's in season for the best, at the time, when should I actually be using asparagus for my region from these local farms, and I should be putting it on my menu. Like AI can do that for you. So it's not just about, I think a lot of people think it's the death of creativity or it's actually I think it's going to provide, some much needed efficiency in the world of in the day of a life of a chef to be able to have more time to perfect your craft, be more creative, spend time with your people, spend time with your customers.
Yeah, I think that just like Chef said, we're kind of at the intro level. So I think that right now it's being used primarily. I've talked to other chefs that use it somewhat as a creative voice for them, or they're like, hey, I need to pair something with this. Like you can load up your menus and be like, this is how I cook. Paired, create a menu. I am actually really, it's those types of usages that kind of scare me about it, because I feel like we're just increasing the echo chamber for yourself. Like, you know, you're letting Chat GPT like tell you how to be creative.
Yeah.
Like forcing you down a lane. You know, Chef obviously has a lot of more experience on those things, but that's where as far as using AI as midware efficiencies, but you're seeing Restaurant 365, Toast, all these platforms starting to integrate it, and those you know, we've talked about it in some of our financial meetings at our restaurant group, where to find efficiencies for labor, and it kind of can look back and see a bigger picture. So it's exciting. I try to tell my cooks and my staff to use it the things you're not good at, to get you in the kitchens, because the place that's I think, you know, chefs and cooks are irreplaceable are in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So help get you in the kitchen, like the things that you're struggling with writing an email, because like, you know, we have different departments. I have historically been bad at emails.
Yeah.
You know, rewording things. I tell my chefs like, hey, just put it through and be like, hey, make this professional.
Right. And what's crazy about AI, I mean, I've been using it. I want to say I'm going to give myself props. I don't give myself enough props. When ChatGPT first came out, so I don't know, it was like November 2022, maybe. I was an early user because I discovered it on Twitter at the time. I was like, "What's this?" And I jumped in. I downloaded it, and I think, at least I can't prove that this is true, but I don't know anyone else that can disprove it. Is I think I wrote the first AI cookbook. I got on there and I got my old recipes that I had. I had a stack of old recipes, and I just said, "Copy, okay, scale it up. Change this to grams, make sure it's worded consistently, boom, 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 make these changes." And it was pumping out the information. And so I screen recorded and I shared it on social media, and so many chefs were upset. This is not true creativity. It's never going to replace your seasoning. It's like, I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to spend less time in front of a computer. And this is an efficient way to scale recipes up and not have to sit there for hours with a calculator.
Well, and formatting. I feel like when I jumped from being a executive chef to culinary director, or like was like on that stage, you know, where I'm like, you know, imposter syndrome. I'm like looking up, what does pro forma mean?
Yeah.
Like how much time I was staring at a computer, trying to format something. And that's where, like, you know, something like that, where it's just like doing those things of copying and pasting, that it can be useful, I think, for me as a chef.
If I didn't have AI, I'd probably need 10 people to help me with what I do. And I have a chat bot. Normally when I get hired as a consultant for a restaurant group or something like that, the first thing I do is I set up several chat bots for them, a menu editor, a recipe writer, you know, someone that's going to analyze whatever. And I want to ask you this, because you were talking about data, and this has nothing to do with culinary, but it has to do with my taxes. It's something that's like the bane of my existence. Every day, part of my work routine, I spend about 30 minutes working on tax stuff every day. It's like, sit down, it's my 30-minute tax time. And I was like, there has to be a more efficient way to do this. So what I did is I got 2 Excel reports, one from a toll tag, and another one from Everlance, which is a driving app that tracks mileage. And I sent it to ChatGPT and I said, can you consolidate these 2 and tell me which ones are personal driving expenses and which ones are taxable? It thought for 2 minutes and it spit me the Excel report back, categorized, color coded. These go here, code it to this. I was like, this just saved me hours worth of work. And I didn't realize how good it is now at filtering data. And that's just one example. But what are some of the other things? Because you talk about, you know, the data aspect. What are some other things that you guys are using it for?
So I think what it's being developed for, I don't know anybody that's actually using it yet, but what it's being developed for is, first off, I mean, you came from a hotel background, so you know that, right? There's procurement, there's sales, there's POS systems, there's digital signage, there's inventory, there's production, there's all these different aspects that, just like now as an independent culinarian, right? Mm-hmm. You're using it for taxes, but think about how that manifests as a real business tool, not just for big companies, but for small, for each location. So it has the ability to bring together all those disparate technologies that people use, right? So you have one POS system, you might have a menu and ordering system or not, you might not have a system at all, right? You might have a an order guide with one of your vendors, like a large broadliner. It brings together all those systems. It's like air traffic control for all of them. And then you can pick and choose just like you did. You needed data for these 2 expense categories. This is what you needed. You can tell AI whatever you want to do. Right. And we're getting to the point where we can actually look at a kitchen and the equipment that's in a kitchen and the skill level of the cooks and say, if you want to make 400 dishes of this one specific dish, right? So you want to scale it to 400. You need in your kitchen where you already have this equipment, you're going to need this many cooks at this skill level. So think about what that means for labor, because labor is a huge issue for us, right? So think about what that means. And it also, as an operator, gives you the true cost of food, which is valuable at a deli, at an independent restaurant, at a big hotel. And so we are just at the tip of the iceberg about the information that's going to, you said it correctly in that you said it saved me this amount of time. Imagine. And it's not about replacing people, right? It's about that exact thing, giving people back time. So what's the highest and best use of your time as a chef, as a consultant, as whatever it is that your position is, but it gives you back that time. I think there's a lot of fear that it's somehow going to replace people and it's just not. It's going to make us more efficient.
I think a conversation that happens a lot, especially when I used to, when I was active as a chef, there's a lot of young cooks would come up to me and say, I want to learn the management stuff. I want to learn food cost, and I want to learn how to write emails like you or whatever, right? Like all the stuff that's not glamorous. And I used to tell them, don't worry about that. Focus on your craft. Learn to be a good chef. Like that's the easy part. And trust me, it's not that fun.
Right.
You could probably learn it pretty relatively quickly. But what's interesting now is I noticed a lot of chefs, I hate to use the term office chef, but a lot of chefs turn into office chefs because the amount of administrative work forces you into that. It forces you to become an office chef because from the second you get in to the second you leave, you're inundated with questions, emails, responsibilities, ordering, scheduling, etc. And what I think is going to happen, at least now, if you're efficient with AI and you have chatbots set up or whatever, I think you cut your admin time in half. Realistically, I think you get 5 hours back in the day and get back in the kitchen where now you could see where the food cost issues are. You could develop your team. You could be a little less stressed. You should be a little bit more efficient. So I see AI as a tool, not to replace your taste buds or whatever chefs are worried about. Like no, like you could iterate much faster. Like you said, what asparagus is in season? Give me 20 ideas that I could do with asparagus with Italian food. Boom. You might not use any of them, but I kind of like this, and it's going to spin off. And then you could print out the recipe and give it to someone and say, hey, give me 10 recipe variations of that. You hand it to 10 people and you could scale it. Like, okay, let's pick the best one.
Yep.
Yeah. People should not be afraid of it. And it's not going away. At least I don't think so.
I think I heard something on some sort of podcast. They were talking about the car industry and how it's like going towards automation and someone
like self-driving.
Yeah. Someone was like, well, aren't we going to like, isn't the next generation just going to be sad that they don't drive? It's like, dude, were you ever sad that like you don't know how to ride a horse? Like it's just going to change and evolve. You're going to do something else with that time. So yeah, I do think that like, the people part is not going to go away.
Well, and think about the issues that you and I were talking about just the other day, right? If you have that time back, then, the heart of being a chef is also teaching and training other chefs.
Right, yeah.
That's the heart of what it means, being a coach, a mentor, psychologist, mama or papa, right? I mean, that's what, and when you talk about developing loyalty in staff and developing people and developing culinary leaders and next gen, great chefs, it's only because somebody had enough time to be that generous with me that I got to where I am. And I think that it's the same thing for us. So talk about giving that time back. You said you can be in your kitchen. You can be with your people. You can be, right there tasting things every day. To me, as a chef, again, whatever your venue is, that's the most valuable thing.
Yeah.
Is being right there with the food, with the people, and frankly with your customers. I mean, driving,
Right.
don't underestimate that, going to the table touch. A lot of chefs don't like that, but people come because they want to say they know the chef.
It's like the chef
Cooks
was so
stay because
powerful.
they want to know right. Cooks
Yeah.
stay because they're like, that's my chef.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. What do you like if there was some basic things that you think every culinary operation should have in place with, and let's just go like very basic chatbot software. What are some things that you think every culinary operation should have in place in the chef's office as far as chatbots set up?
Well, I don't know that it's just bot oriented. I think you actually like the platform that I'm working on now. I've been in development with this Air Technologies for the last 15 months, right? So I think it's finding the right platform that can bring things together for you, right? So you can personalize things. It's like anything else, right? You can pick and choose modules. You can have professionals develop certain things for you. I think the chatbot is just one piece. It's the automating those daily tasks, like menuing, ordering, receiving, inventory, right? It can think about having the ability to have an inventory where the bot or the platform actually sends you a push notification that says, hey chef, you got 10 pounds of snapper that's going to go bad. You better menu it tonight. Like, think about just having that at you. You might even have forgotten that snapper's in there, or a cook didn't tell you, or it was put in the wrong place, but because it's interfacing with all your other technologies, it understands that. So I don't know that it's just the bot. It's integrating AI into the systems that you already use. And if you don't have those systems, get those systems, right?
Yeah.
So I think that that's what I'm saying. It's more than just the bot or learning how to learn, because you know how you see those things where an answer from a chatbot is only as good as the questions that you ask.
That is true.
Really? I don't know if there's anything, maybe, is it Air you said is working on it, but like it would be interesting to have something that, because my thing is like the training and the leadership down, like the exec chef usually knows everything that's in their walk-in because they're in there every day, or they should be, right? But when you're training sous chefs,
they're not in there every day, chef. I'm just kidding.
I wish
They're not. They're not in there,
we were
chef.
talking about it today because like that's my biggest thing is like at the next level now, running restaurants on in charge of front of house and back of house.
Yeah.
Recently I've had to step in. I'm functionally the executive chef of one of our restaurants, and it's a difficult job, but it's also an easy job. Just be in charge of everything all the time, all at once.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
but
be responsible.
be responsible. And, some things like training the sous chefs, it's like, I look at the order guide. I was like, hey, do the order, he does order guide. And I'm like, hey, we already have this in here. So it's like, if you have a bot that like knows your inventory and they're trying to go log it in, and then AI is just like, hey, you already have this. Like, you don't need.
But it won't be a bot that knows your inventory.
Right.
It'll still be software that knows your inventory. The bot is embedded.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not, the information is coming from the software system, not from the bot. The AI is embedded in the system. And that's what you're going to see more of.
Right.
AI embedded in systems. And I think both of us, Chef, can say, there is no way in the operations that I ran that I knew everything in every walk-in. There were multiple walk-ins, multiple locations, multiple, and
A
again,
single restaurant.
And I think the other thing that you have to think about, like even when we talk about pricing, inventory, anything like that, people make mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Technology doesn't.
Erasers and 1s and 7s.
Well, you look at because AI is like a fascinating topic. I don't know, chefs probably that listen to this know that I love AI, only because I see it as a force multiplier for most of the daily operations that you could work with, especially if you don't know, like, and AI is becoming more conversational, right? So it's understanding, like, if you could ask it questions and you could say, no, give it back to me at a third grade reading level, or scale it up, make it a little bit more complicated. I have people that I work with that'll say, we're working on a dish, and I'll say, and I mock it up an AI image of it and say, is this kind of like how you want to plate it? And it's like, wow, it knocks out another portion of the R&D. Like, you could give me 10 different plate variations with an AI image that would take you 4 or 5 hours in the kitchen, but it's going to take you 5 minutes with some prompts.
Right.
But it's also knowing how to use the system. I think it's fascinating. Like, if I had a prediction, I would say in a few years, you're going to be able to put on your virtual reality glasses and you're going to have your board of directors that are all AI. And you're going to have your AI director of marketing and your AI director of finance and your AI CFO or whatever. And you're going to sit down with all these virtual reality and you're going to say, hey, I need you to work on this today and I need you to work on this day. And then we'll meet in a few hours I need a few hours for lunch, but you guys will be done instantly. Right?
Right.
I think that like one thing I'm worried about with AI, another thing, my constant worrying brain is this push towards like everything being efficiency. Chefs are already like that.
Yeah.
But what we have, and I've had, great examples of, I mean, chefs in general are the like most hospitable people.
Yeah.
And when you're driving for efficiency, like hospitality isn't efficient. Trying to make someone feel good isn't efficient. And even your own staff, when you have something that's driving towards maximum efficiency, I think sometimes we could lose the humanity of it.
Yeah.
To where it's like, oh, well, like this is, whether it's, I think that's why people are afraid that it could, lose the people. Like, okay, we're just going to go to robots or whatever. And I don't think that.
How far away are we from robot cooks, though?
A long way, I think.
What do you?
Oh, I don't think so. I just don't. I think it's just going to have
depends on the
different,
type of food,
right? It just has different applications. But I disagree with you in something you said, and this is where I think we have to be honest with ourselves as chefs. Not all chefs drive towards efficiency. Not all chefs have a capability of driving towards efficiency.
That's true. Yeah.
And when we talk about, let's talk about the talent gap, right? There is definitely a talent gap.
Yeah.
There's people that, that aren't coming into our industry anymore, or they're not opening restaurants, or they're not working in, hotels, or they're not working where, where hospitality, is I don't know I don't think you actually can automate hospitality. I think that's a cultural thing that exists outside of AI.
I don't know.
And I think but I actually think, I've had this discussion with several chefs. There's this talent gap where we know there's not enough great chefs for all the openings that we have. Mm-hmm. And I think that begs another question. If we can give them tools, AI-based tools, be it a bot vehicle, whatever it is, a platform or an integrated platform, I think that what we will have is the ability to go out and talk about how great it is to be a chef and how restaurant careers are awesome and hotel and, hospitality jobs, that it's a privilege to be of service.
Yeah.
And that's, we don't just do it because we love cooking food. We do it because we love feeding people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it at great length yesterday. That's I mean, how do it just seems like every time I come into one of our restaurants or I'm talking to one of our chefs, it's like finding the people that are passionate about food and taking care of people that like can push past the fact that it's amazing. One of our cultural values is like seek heat, but there's also something great about doing something hard, but people routinely and in increasing numbers can't get past the fact that it's also a hard job.
Mm-hmm.
And so they like run into that wall and they're like, oh man, dude, like I want to go out on Saturday night. Like I want, to hang out with my friends. And I was like, my friends are in the kitchen. Like I purposely, when I got into this industry, I moved to a different state because I knew that like, if I wanted to do this, like, I don't need the distraction of like, my friends are going to go to a show and like, I want to go there. Like, no, like I need to be, it takes all that, but the rewards, like you said, it's a great job. It's awesome. I mean, being, the relationships and the people and the people that, the shoulders that I stand on in those relationships.
So how do you think we're going to develop the next generation of chefs? I mean, culinary schools are fewer and far between than they used to be. We're on the subject of AI, and I'm not trying to beat AI again, but it's like people can learn faster. There's Chef Steps, there's Ruby, there's these online culinary courses. There's the internet, there's Instagram, there's YouTube, and then there's still culinary schools, like where you could go and pick up a knife and work with a chef instructor. Right now, I think that there's a big gap in the culinary world where new cooks are coming in and they're learning much faster. And I was saying this today with another chef that I was having a conversation with. I was saying that cooks can become chefs now in probably half the time for my generation because of all the
The
access.
skill though.
Well, the information is there. There's no gatekeeping. If you want to know how to do something, you could find that information. There's no gate. You could just break over it, right? But one of the things that we're losing, it's almost like the food still needs soul though. And you get that by making it hundreds of times and connecting with it. And so it's almost like we have knowledge, but we don't have understanding. So we know everything about food, but we don't know how to give it some soul.
The lack of leadership in the kitchen. We talked for about an hour on this bus ride, and like my head goes immediately to the fact that, one, I'm from Southern California. She was a chef in LA. I was like, man, if I could have found her, and learned from her, just talking to her, you're like, the leadership, like what Chef Helene has, like talking to her, I was like, I want to work for you. Like I want to be, pumping out food on your line and learning from you. And it's those things. It's like they know the technical job duty. And I think something that, has always stuck with me, Danny Meyer's book, Setting the Table. It's like that 51%. The thing is like the technical job duty is not important. It's hard and you need to learn it, but that's the 49%. It's like, where do we find those 51% people that he talks about?
We're in the age of too much information,
right,
and not enough
soul.
Yeah, not enough soul. Because the food, not all food, and this is a general statement, but a lot of food doesn't taste the way it did 10 years ago. And we know better now. Like we know the right flour to use. We know where to buy the right ingredients. We know the right way to make Neapolitan pizza. Where before we were just we just didn't understand. So we know better, but it feels like it's just missing a little something.
You know what I think it's missing?
What's that?
I think that when I was learning to cook, and it was a long time ago, and I didn't go to culinary school. I met a chef. I went to work for him. I worked for him for 6 years, and that's how I learned everything, right? Everything, most things. I kept learning. And that's the other thing, that compulsive curiosity to keep on learning is what makes a really good chef great, right? But I think it's because, if I wanted to learn something that he wasn't available to teach me, he would just call up a friend and I could just go. I didn't clock in. I didn't have workman's comp. I don't know what would have happened if I cut myself at that property or at that restaurant. I probably would have just bandaged it up and gone back to work. But I think there's this, all this insurance, over-regulation and everything that keeps us from just sharing openly with each other and really being able to learn. We met this awesome farm couple, right? Who needs labor on their farm. And I'm sitting there thinking, how can I get kind of the big companies to get labor out there? But you know what? The reality is they're never going to do that because who's going to insure them? Who's going to get them there? Who's going to pay them, right? And it's not even necessarily the pay, but it's the ability, how can we bring back volunteering to learn? Right? So volunteering at a farm because you want to learn that connection to the land, the soil, in this case, the chickens, the pigs, whatever. And in 1 hour time period with them, I learned so much, right? Yeah. About regenerative agriculture. But you don't get those opportunities enough, especially young culinarians don't get those opportunities. So how do we foster those opportunities without putting our business at risk, right? So I don't know what the answer to that is. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know if we could sign a waiver or whatever, have them come. Yeah. And the other thing is it's generational, right? Because now I find a lot of people don't want to volunteer. They want to be paid for all their time and effort. And I'm like, but you're getting this education for free. So circling back to AI, they can have that education, they can see that online, but they don't feel the experience.
Right. By the way, only because you brought it up, can you talk about why you guys are both here in Austin?
Oh yeah.
Okay. You're way more eloquent.
So, we are with Flavor Forays. So Barb Mathias and Beverly Stevens from
they're in the room. They're off camera, but they're here.
They're the icons that I read food arts religiously. If nobody knows, because food arts hasn't been around for a while now, but But
It was the magazine that I would look
was
forward to.
the-
It was,
Yeah.
that I would get in my box. I would go check it. Who's in the back?
I still have
Who's
50
the chef
of them.
being recognized this time?
And so when I talk about being able to volunteer and experience and everything, it's the generosity of people like Bev and Barb that create these culinary experiences for chefs in different cities where we get to meet these farmers, we get to meet other chefs, we get to spend time and get to know each other, and you're enriched exponentially. And again, it's that learning. It's that I want to learn more about what you do. I want to learn more about what you do, right? And so, and I think, and it's also curated in a way that each experience is valuable.
So you're on this culinary excursion for what the last 3 days?
Yep.
Yeah, the last 3 days.
It was for me, like we at I work for Headington Companies. We try to take our leaders to like NRA, Cater Source. That's National Restaurant Association for people that are the common fan. And this has been the single most like educational 3 days, and just picking up stuff and
you get to meet a whole bunch of new chefs.
New
that you know-
chefs.
Yeah, so your network grows.
yeah, like, and it's not even seeing the farm. It's the like I've mentioned twice already, the time on the bus with Chef Helene and talking to some of the people at what's Texas Pete's Hot Sauce was there, and some other chefs, and a chef friend of mine that's at the mansion at Troll Creek. Like, so that the whole experience is so eye opening and learning, and yeah, it's been very impactful. It's been awesome.
And so I think, again, circling all the way back to the beginning of our conversation, if you can make the work easier, if you can automate the administrative part, you can make time to participate in things like this.
No, it's an excellent point. It's an excellent point. And I think we know more about food, but we're losing a little bit of that connection. And not everyone. Like, there's some chefs that are in the dirt, right? They're growing their food and they are in it. But there's other chefs that just, they're looking at a beautiful social media picture. They're trying to replicate it, but they don't really understand what they're replicating. And I think, again, back to the original point, like you said, is getting back in the kitchen, cooking, connecting with food. Go to the farmer's market, talk to the farmer, taste some food, cut an orange, eat it. See what food tastes like again, and reconnect with it. And we run the risk of all the food starting to look the same because we're all eyes are pointing in the same direction. And I think if you could just take a step back, look around, have an expression like if everyone's looking at the front door, look at the alley, like look at the side door. Because if you sound like everyone else, you end up just like everyone else. So I always like say be the exception to the rule. Where are we at on time? How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm going to wrap it up in a minute.
We'll give you one
I could
last
probably
question.
talk with you guys
No,
for several hours.
we
but
do this all day. I'm trying to think. I want to get one last question in with you before you.
I think, again, it's I love the conversation about the marriage of technology and soul, that they're not mutually exclusive, right? That it actually gives you, a doorway to explore more. You just have to get comfortable with it. I mean, let's face it, it's been an evolution, right? It's been a journey for us. I wrote stuff on the back of a napkin, and I had a little, a little
Spiral down.
little note pocket and a pencil, and that's how I wrote recipes, right? That's how I learned.
Yeah, I used to go to Google and look something up and then quiz people. Do you know what that means? A word that I just learned or something like that. Back when we only had the Food Lovers Companions. Like, no, you can't use the Food Lovers Companion.
Oh, but I love that.
Yeah.
Right? It was the book.
What was that other book? The one that had like the ingredients? It was by
Culinary Artistry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that it? The Karen somebody?
Yeah.
Like it's like Honenberg.
Does it have the flavor? Was it the Flavor Bible?
No.
No, it was called. I think it was called
Culinary-
Culinary Artistry,
yeah.
but it had all the different
Yeah,
ingredients
and it's
what you
by season and it's Culinary Artistry.
And I think I went through copies of that.
There's Gary Coons is in there, and Hubert Keller, like Charlie Palmer's in there. There's a bunch of
Legends. Yeah.
like having their menus on it too. That was really cool.
You know what I have? You know what my most prized possession is? Like my most prized chef possession is I have a menu from the Savoy from Escoffier.
Oh wow,
Wow, that's a big one.
that's pretty.
Yeah, like 1929 or something like that.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's like my most prized culinary possession. I have it in a safety deposit box somewhere. But yeah, it's like it's really cool when you look at where we came from as chefs. And, Escoffier, I don't know if anyone's read his book. We were talking books right now.
Well, I have. It's funny. I try to tell like young chefs and stuff. Like I have the brown Escoffier.
The
book.
Le Guide.
Yeah, that's just like
No, but have you read Ritz and Escoffier?
no.
Like, that is such a great book. People listening, you should read that book, because the guy was a rock star. He's kind of a crook too, right? Like they all, but there's some funny stories in there. Just how he was the original celebrity chef, and he would. Yeah. Here's a tip: is he had his clientele, and they would come in, and he would name dishes after them. And so that's why you have a lot of the peach Melba. He would name it after all his his high rollers that would come into the Ritz, or the Savoy, or wherever he was at the time. But
talk about having time to connect with his customers,
right.
Get to know them, right?
Right.
And it builds your. So I think that's it. I think that, the last point for me, or what I'd like to say, and it's been like such a great time talking to you. I wish, we had more time, but I think don't underestimate what hospitality means, both inside your kitchen and outside your kitchen.
Yeah.
Right? And true hospitality is like embracing that generosity of spirit that I think most chefs have, and that love and respect for ingredients, producers, execution, all parts of it till it goes to the dish. And I think that finally on the AI, things like air, you have to get comfortable with a platform that's literally going to take something from the mind of the chef to the mouth of the consumer.
Right.
Because that's going to, and it's that connectedness can only make us better.
Well, Chef, I'm sorry that you can't stay. I know you got a plane to catch. We're going to keep talking, but
I'll try to follow. I don't.
No. This was fun. We got to have you back on. So,
I love to come to Austin.
Yeah. Come to Austin. We'll have you back on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been great.
We'll be in touch.
All right. Take care.
Have a safe flight.
Have a great rest of the podcast.
So, when people are starting in your kitchen, how do you train them?
How
many kitchens do you oversee right now?
Right now 4. There's
for people that are listening, what are the 4 restaurants?
Commissary, The Porch, Mirador, and Tango Room, all in Dallas. I have a little to a lot to do with the quality control with the restaurants in the Jewel Hotel, so CBD Provisions and Cicetta. But
all great restaurants, by the way.
Oh, thank you. A lot of people working hard to make sure that they are.
Yeah.
So I basically head up the whole F&B department for my company, whether it's front of the house or back of the house. So I think for a long time we operated in silos, and we had a lot of, great, icons. Like I said, I got to work with Junior, Mike Sindoni, Scott Romano, that were in the kitchens for Headington Companies. And now as, I grow in my career and in culinary, it's like kind of trying to find, those people. I've had success with, putting people I've worked with in the past as cooks and sous chefs and all that stuff in executive chef positions, but we are kind of in the process of trying to homogenize what those training things are, because you've done a great job in your books of putting those in a concise form of kind of like so you want to do this.
Yeah. I put those so like I could say what you can't say.
Right.
So if you say it, you might get in trouble with it.
Right. Yeah.
If I say it,
it's like that thing where all executive chefs, when you're going, I had this one cook do this the other day, and you're like, you roll your eyes about it, and that we were talking about it on with Chef Helene. Like I was like, I remember distinctly a executive chef. It was my first executive chef gig. I see this young cook. She has so much potential, right? She's like hustling, doing this thing, and she pulls a pan out super fast. And there's the fat had rendered and it was on a grate, and the fat came over her hand.
Yeah.
It immediately blisters up.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, we're going to wrap that up. Let's take a second, busy service Saturday night. And this is a 24-hour hotel restaurant. We do in-room dining overnight. It's technically 28 meal periods a week. So it's a Haas. And, she's like, she gets back on the line that night, and she's like, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, the next morning, I told her I was like, how to take care of it. I've had 2nd-degree burns numerous times, and she gives me a call. Hey, I went to urgent care. I'm like, okay. She's like, they say I can't come back to work for 7 days. And I'm like, okay. And at that point, she sends the thing to HR, and I'm like, okay, and I just kind of like you said, the thing you can't say. It's like, dude, like, I know that it hurts, and I know that, like, I don't want you to re-injure it or anything, but it's on the back of your hand. It's a burn. Like, you could come back, take the day off today. I mean, but like, you could come back, and if it's important to you, and like, it's not even the like selfish part of like, hey, I need you to man the station. It's like, show up for your people, like the person on garde manger next to you, like you look to your left, and like, me and Helene kind of were talking, we got to this place of like, I think that there's a romanticism with like, kind of when you and I came in the game of the chef that, calls you donkey, the Gordon Ramsay, like, love, I mean, for a long time had the most Michelin stars. He was my icon, and, but there's a romanticism about it. And I think there is, because like it kind of created a community, because you guys we were all in the like jail together, experiencing the abuse a little bit. But it's that community, right? Like, how do you create those communities where like, it's not that like, like switching the mindset to where she got that note and she was like, fuck, like out 7 days. What, dude? Like, no, I gotta get back in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I want to cook. Like, I like to make things. I like to be in there. I like to shut my eyes for a second and hear the click of the plates and the timer's going off and someone yelling behind, and like this, the ticket.
Part of the issue, well, by the way, and I think I should say, like, to each their own. Like,
Right.
like if you are sick, like, don't get it.
Yeah, I don't want
Like,
yeah.
but what I will say is I think a lot of people love the idea of being a chef more than they love being a chef.
Right.
Right. It's not when you get in it, it's like, oh, it's a lot harder. It's hotter. It's more physical. There's the personalities. There's all the personalities in the kitchen. And I think a lot of people, they think, well, I'm a good cook and I love food, I should become a chef. It's like, nope, you might not love working in kitchens, which are two completely different things. Loving food and loving working in kitchens, two different things.
Mm-hmm.
If you love both, you're a unicorn. If you love working in kitchens and you love food, you're going to be a great chef.
Right.
But you can't love food but hate working in kitchens.
Yeah.
You have to, like, if you're going to be a chef, you have to enjoy that environment, because it's not for everyone. Here's a funny story, because you brought up Scott Romano. I don't know if he's going to listen to this, but maybe you'll send it to him.
Oh, well.
Back, let's say 2010. I'm hoping I could find a picture of this and I'll put it in the podcast. We were judging. I was judging something with Ferdinand Metz, certified master chef. He's a legend, right?
Oh my God. Yeah.
We were judging something in Dallas. We were judging a reality show auditions. And afterwards, it was honestly one of the greatest days of my life, because here I'm like, that's fucking Ferdinand Metz. Right. Like, I'm like,
It's the dude.
It's just me and him, and we're hanging out all day, and I'm picking his brain all day long.
I mean,
it was amazing, right? And he comes up to me and he says, Andre, gather some chefs. Let's cook. And I was like, oh shit, like, who do I know? And I was like scrambling to, like, because we're gonna cook like at midnight. He just wants to get together, cook, and eat with the Dallas chefs. And Scott Romano was there, Matt McAllister. I'm trying to think who else was there. Brian Lucier.
David Uger?
No, he was not there. Not that time. He was there a different time.
Okay.
Because we did one at Charlie Palmer's.
I was there.
That's right. But I don't think Ferdinand Metz was there that
No,
time.
he wasn't. That's why I was like, am I misremembering? How could I?
Yeah, no. We did. So we did 3.
Mm-hmm.
The first one we did, it wasn't a lot of us. It was a couple of food writers, one from Dallas, one from New York. Ferdinand Metz, like I said, Matt McAllister, Brian Lucier, myself, Scott Romano.
Yeah.
And there's maybe, I'm probably missing some
I
people.
think I remember getting, like, kind of like verging to memories, but I was either at the time the Tournade, because the one that you did with David Uger, I was at that one. I cooked something there. I was a sous chef then, but I was probably on the line. I remember getting that together, because I remember, like, Scott's.
Yeah, I was there. I was there that day.
Metz. Crazy.
Yeah, so I was there that day, and I'm trying to think. I remember we did it there at the Jewel.
Mm-hmm.
In Charlie Palmer's,
Yeah.
right? Myself, Scott. I don't remember who else was there that day, but I remember David Uger, myself, and Scott were there. I remember David Uger made soft scrambled eggs.
Yeah,
he made, and he did on a double boiler.
Yeah.
Shit, you're bringing back memories. I
He had some-
I had not thought about that till right now.
I remember just like I can't even remember what I made. That's why, kids, write it down, dude. Write it down.
Yeah.
Anything you make,
Take a
write it
photo.
down.
You can take a photo now.
Yeah. But I just remember watching him cook and being like, oh my God, I gotta take notes of this. Like, he can move. He's so precise and exact.
Where is Scott now?
He's in the Ozarks. Really nice hotel. You know, it's great to see him cook. That man can cook, man. Like I everything that I know, like, and I've you know, for the longest time, I think most people when they get into it, I kind of got into a second career. Like, I felt like imposter syndrome, but like being a cook for him and then getting, you know, promoted, like him promoting me to a sous chef and being his sous chef was it, like, you know, for myself. I don't really care what everyone else, but like I kind of wear it as a badge of honor because like he really taught you how to cook. We did all of our own stuff, all from scratch.
Actually, I remember something Scott made that day. He made a ravioli with like a coffee broth.
Yeah, with a egg yolk.
That's
in the
right.
center.
Yeah. Because I remember he put coffee in his veal stock or something like that. It was really good. Yeah. I stole that from him. Yeah. I was like, like it was good. It's like he infused the veal stock with coffee beans, and I just remember it was smart.
He would do when he would do menu changes.
Yeah.
He like it was all creativity. He never thought about like, is this gonna be too hard?
Yeah.
And I remember like one time I was on Fish Station. And it was like, there was a dish that he did that, like, if you didn't get it down, like immediately and start it was one pan pickup, but it was like everything you build in the pan. It was like 11 minutes, I think, was the fastest you could get it out. And I went on vacation and somehow he ended up on the like, he had to work it one day.
Yeah.
And I came back and he grabbed me. He's like, Coner, your station is really hard. And I'm like, I know.
It's probably harder when you're the executive chef, right?
I know, man. I've been so. He's like, okay. He's like, we had like, I think, and it was that dish. Like we had like, I think, restaurant week coming up. It's like, I'm taking off that dish for restaurant week. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. Like, but no, he creativity wise and just like the basis of cooking. Yeah. You know, making it taste good. He taught me my first day in his kitchen. I made a steak tartare with not a lick of fucking salt.
Yeah.
And he like, I mean, just, he's everywhere. He walks up, he sees the steak tartare and he just looks, he's like, who made this? I'm like, me, chef. He's like, okay. He just like, I mean, he was going to have me make another one no matter what. So he just takes a spoon, tastes it. And I can see like his jaw kind of, you know, tighten, swallow it. He's like, stand right there. He makes one and I see it. And it was basically because I made it like that because like the Garmager cook told me how to make it, like wrote, like, now you do this, now you do this, now you do this, and just left out like season and taste it.
Right.
It should be in every recipe. And, you know, made it beautifully, perfect, delicious. He's like, taste yours and taste mine. And I tasted it and I was like, yes, chef, you know, and it was like, from there on, it's like, dude, you know, basically don't be the biggest idiot in the kitchen, right? Like,
right.
But yeah, no, sorry, I could go on about Scott. He's great.
No, he's a great guy. I like I said, I think the last time I spoke with him was probably at that dinner at Charlie Palmer's. I'm not good at keeping in contact these days. But yeah, he's a legend. He's a legend. He's a fantastic cook. Who else was there that day besides David Uger and Leon Scott? You seem to remember
Chef Kelly. He was down at I can't remember his first name. His last name was Kelly. He was great too. Like he was like the first, like, cause you know, when back then, like everyone wore a chef coat.
Yeah.
I remember, I can't remember his first name.
It was still cool to wear a chef coat.
Yeah. He wore
all white embroidery. Right. Yeah. Brigard.
He wore just a cook shirt. I was like, that's so badass, dude. Like just coming in, like, he's like, I'm wearing a cook shirt, dude. And he worked at this place, Wild Salsa, down the street, but he worked at a bunch of other, he's a great chef. I can't remember his first name.
We got way off. So how do you, so new cook coming into your kitchens.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. What are some things that you tell them to get them set up for success?
One, you know, write it down. Notebook, pen.
Yeah.
Bad
pen is better than a good memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then always, you know, like, you know, we have a restaurant too where like you have some cooks that don't have their own knives, have their knife, you know, the person that's there for a job. I really tell them like, look, do you want a job or do you want a career? You know, because like here you are doing a job, but like if you want a career in this, it's what you're doing when you're not here. That's really important. And it was Scott, it was Mike Sindoni kind of teaching me those things. It's what are you reading? Like what are the people that inspire you? Are you like, we for a short time we had this culture at Charlie Palmer where all the cooks went out after, and like the first drink, no one talked. Everyone looked over their notes, saw what they did, and if they had a struggling pickup, if something lagged, we would go over that together sometimes, of like, okay, like this ticket sunk the line.
Yeah.
Like on your station, motherfucker. Like, so like, let's go over this and see like where we went wrong and get the timing right. Cause guys, it's hard.
So I used to do those as well. I used to call them a post-shift nameless, rankless debrief, right? I think I might've picked that up from Blue Angels, maybe, I don't know, but it was great. Like, put everyone's rank to the side. We're outside. Like, what went wrong? What went right? Let's talk about, and everything that went wrong, let's talk about how to fix it. Let's not fucking turn this into a complaining session. Like, how do we fix it? And if we can't fix it, take it off the menu.
Right. And so, like, it was those things. I would look at my prep list. I still have these books. I try to, I show, if a young cook wants it, like, here, let me show you what I did in 2.5 hours that day. Yeah. Because it's like, it's impressing me. I'm like, how did I get all this done? Because once, that's what really, there's a young cook that came on the line that was seasoned, came from like a like kind of a restaurant family from St. Louis.
Yeah.
He's a really talented chef. His name's Ryan Carberry. But he was on the line with me and he's like, we go out and kind of like shoot the shit. He's like, guys, what are you doing? Like, we had the worst service ever. Like, no, we're not having that. Let's go over this. And like once, that kind of stuck with everyone. It was like, it almost became a competition, like how much you could get done, and then like everyone was just kind of calm. It was funny. Like it got to a point where the sous chefs were running around crazy and the cooks were coming up to me and like, hey, what do you need me to do?
Well, it's important to create that culture because it could quickly become a race to the bottom.
Right.
If it's not competitive and we're all winners and we have a winner's mindset, and if all of us win, we win together, and we're all driving forward and we're all getting better together, it could easily turn into the opposite, which is we all suck, nothing's good, everything's broken, and it just becomes a pile of excuses why we can't get better. And I'll be honest with people, like I've been in all those kitchens, and the ones that are like that, I promise you, they were fixable.
Right.
But they're not fixable if no one wants to fix it.
Yeah, the give a shits.
Yes.
Like how do you and like that's where my frustration with the world, I guess, is like how do you get that? Like, because I've been in interviewing chefs, even staging them, like, dude, staging and tasting. Like a tasting is the worst, like, so you can cook. Like so many cooks can cook. Cooks make food, chefs make money, but also chefs are leaders. I don't see your leadership when you cook by yourself. Like, yeah, great. Everything is perfect.
How do you scale it?
And like, the thing was, like, that culture at that time, it came from like the bottom up, and that's easy. Like when it's coming from the cooks, how do you what are the techniques?
How do you do that? How do you implement that though now into your kitchen? So
it's hard. Like I make mistakes. Like I think that like at right now where the restaurant that I'm in, 4 days a week, like as the chef, it's I made the mistake because like it wasn't being driven top down, or that culture wasn't being driven. But I think that like, the things that I spend my time on that I feel like have been effective is what are your, Ray Dalio has a great book called Principles.
Yeah.
Like what are your principles? What are the things that like define you as a chef? And what are the things that like, and principles are like something that you just will not, go back on. Like one of my things is like, if you take a knife out, you better have a steel. It's a principle. It doesn't happen. Like I don't put shoes on without socks because it feels weird. I never do it. It's like, what is that thing that you're willing to like, okay, like I guess I'm late, but like, I'm still going to put my shoes on, I'm not going to be like a minute extra, not late and go barefoot,
Yes. It's a good example.
Like, so
it's a good visual.
So that's like the what are those things for you? And it's kind of like you have to make sure they're being done. I think that like, Chef Helene is spot on. Like anything that like that we can use technology to minimize our time that's outside the kitchen. If that is one thing that hasn't gobsmacked me right in the face the last 3 weeks, it's like, man, I can be so effective if I'm in a kitchen.
Right.
Yeah.
Training people.
What are you doing?
And not only that, but you start to notice when you're in the kitchen, and I'm not trying to insult any sous chefs out there, but there's a lot of asshole sous chefs. There's this meme. I don't know if you watch UFC. Do you watch fights?
I do every now and then.
So there's John Jones and Daniel Cormier going back and forth, with a hot mic.
Right.
And John Jones is like, "Hey, pussy, you still there?" And he's like, "I'm here." And so I clipped it and I sent it to a chef friend of mine. I was like, as soon as the chef leaves, the sous chef to the cooks.
Yeah.
Right? Because as soon as the chef leaves, some of those sous chefs turn into tyrants.
Yeah.
Right? As soon as the chef walks out, the sous chef is bananas. Now I'm in charge. Now that chef's not here. And I think when the chefs sometimes go into the kitchen and they spend more time and they see what's going on, they talk to their people, they find out what's really going on in the kitchen. They find out how their teams feel. They find out what's working. People will start to tell them things. But none of that's going to happen if you're not present.
Right.
And I think being present is one of the most important things that you could do as a chef, because I promise you, chefs that are listening, your team needs you.
Yeah.
Your team needs you. They need you in the kitchen. They need you showing them things. They need you working with them whenever you can. And I know you can't. It's not realistic.
Your sous chefs need you. I mean, I spent a long time as a sous chef because I had that, like, one, I was a little bit of a psychopath when I started. You kind of inherited a little bit, but also, like, I'll never forget it because it clicked, because I saw all my friends kind of getting promoted to exec sooner than me, because I would like, I mean, I'm not now, like, don't put me like, but I was a badass motherfucker on the line. Like when someone came in, like Thomas Keller, I cooked everything. When Leslie Brenner, the local, like, Connor, you cook everything on her ticket, like, and
I bumped into her the other day at Italy.
Oh, I love her. She's
great.
And I said to my chef, like, what's going, like, why is it never me, dude? And he's like, you walk around here like you're the baddest motherfucker and you make sure everyone knows. I'm like, yeah, but I am. He's like, who the fuck cares? They knew that before they came in here to work. You know why? Because you're wearing the fucking jacket, my man.
Yeah.
Like, they expect it. They're not surprised. If you weren't, they would be kicking you to the curb. You know what I mean? Like, you better be. But you act like it's some fucking cool thing. Like, oh my God, aren't you impressed? No, they're not. My dad actually, I came home one time, my dad visited me, and this was, I was still a sous chef, and he was using my knife. I'm like, are you like, like, I'm like, isn't that such a sharp knife? He's like, yeah. I'm like, well, yeah, aren't you like, isn't that cool? He's like, well, I mean, if it wasn't, I'd be surprised. You know what I mean? Like, and learning that of, like, dude, like, humble yourself a little bit, but also like that's the expectation. Danny Meyer talks about, you have 1,000 eyes on you once you're a manager, and they expect everything of you. And if you're an executive chef, not being with your sous chefs can create so much damage. I created so much damage, and looking back at it in my role now and being like, oh man, Scott and Mike had to put up with me being a dumb shit. And even like when I was a chef for Junior had to put up with me when I was being a dumb shit, because if you're in a position where you're an executive chef and you have a culinary director, like my culinary director was Junior, like, dude, like, you haven't learned anything yet, even as an exec chef. Yeah. Still be open to learning, and I learned a bunch from him too. So it's.
Did you go to Junior's new place?
Yeah, Nick and Junior's.
How was it?
It's great.
I'm going
amazing.
next week.
So good.
Yeah.
His food's always good.
Yeah, his food's always good. What do you think about the Michelin Guide coming to Texas, specifically the Dallas dining scene, and specifically, where do you think fine dining's going?
We like it. It definitely, it was, I mean, we talked about it all the time. It was a push, like when we first found out. I feel like they made the announcement they'd already visited us.
Yeah, I think so.
It's surprising to me, I guess, in a lot of ways, kind of some of the selections. I think that.
Did it surprise you who wasn't selected?
Yes.
Who do you think in Dallas got snubbed? Like they should have gotten a star.
I think Toby should have gotten a star at Quarter Acre. I think he got the recommendation. But like that dude's food is.
He's a legit chef.
I mean, yeah. I mean, like, and I'm kind of like, well, I've eaten everywhere, and like, he has the best food. So
yeah, and you're a chef.
Like, I'm trying to like rip him off, and like, you know, like, and I'm like,
fair.
oh, wait a minute, like, you know, and I kind of was like, what? And I've eaten at Michelin-star restaurants all around. I've eaten at 2 Michelin-star restaurants, and like when I ate at his when he opened, I was like, well, I'm glad we have a Michelin-star restaurant here, even though it's not, you know.
Yeah.
It is like in my mind because it compares and what he's doing, you know, with you know, he has a little kitchen and the cook stays doing there. It's more of the fact that they didn't, you know, give out a star. They gave out the.
Where do you think fine dining is going? Do you think it's dead? Do you think it's making a comeback?
No, I just think it's different. Like you know, I think that like I've always kind of been cutting my teeth with fine dining, working at Charlie Palmer and being kind of in that group. Like I've done a bunch of events with Matt too. I think all of us kind of got to the point, and maybe yourself included, where like fine dining was fine, you know, it's fine. But you know, sorry, I mispronounced everything. Was it Azov? Ezoff.
Yeah.
You know, that like you come in, you wouldn't think it's a super fine dining, but like that is kind of like it is though. Like it's not fine dining isn't like, you know, the Adam Tahani designed, you know, restaurant on the top floor of some building. You know, fine dining is the approach at which you respect the ingredient and food that goes out, in my mind. So I think that, you know, and respecting the experience, because is Alinea fine dining? Of course it is. But like, I think that, you know, I know a lot of people have a lot to say about David Chang, but what he did with Momofuku was like, dude, I love this wholesome street food, like this dish, and I have all these chops for fine dining. Like, I'm going to approach it like that. So I think that we're seeing that now, you know, where like it can be less fussy. I don't know.
No, I think you're onto it. And I think fine dining has evolved. And I've been ranting about fine dining a lot. And I think, as we talked about earlier, I think as we lose a little bit of the connection to food, and I think sometimes we're cooking too much like each other versus like ourselves.
The funny thing about that, like you mentioned something earlier, and me and Barb, I was talking about food arts. I have like 50 of them in my office, and my wife was like, "Can we throw these away?" I'm like, "No, like no, like it's in the prenup somewhere." No, but like
she's off camera. But can I get some of those food arts magazines too?
Like I'm kind of a collector, pack rat, and so like just great reference points. But people got to create in their own silo for a bit. You know, I remember you remember when, like, I don't think they're doing it anymore, but like we would wait every 4 months for the Art Culinary, 3 months to come out. And like be like, holy shit, look what they're doing. Like you said, like we go, everyone like every day goes on Instagram, sees what their favorite chefs are doing. He's like, I'm gonna make food like that.
Right.
You know, and so there's these like echo chambers. We're building like a circular trunk that just goes up. Instead, before it was like this beautiful tree. Where people were creating.
What would food look like if there was no incentive structure and you weren't cooking for likes and you know, like social media?
Oh man, it would just be like, for me it would just be stews.
It'd be delicious. Like it would be delicious first.
Building flavors, you know.
Chef, normally when we wrap up, I always ask chefs, like, if you had a Mount Rushmore of chefs that you would put on Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
Which 4 chefs to you should be on the Chef Mount Rushmore?
Man, that's like, I mean, there's like the personal, like, you know,
like that's all right. The personal is good too. Give them their flowers.
I mean, my personals for me is Scott Romano. And you know, as an extension of Scott, Charlie Palmer, because you know, he was in those kitchens every day, and he, you know, like Scott worked for him forever. So, and then Mike Sindoni. I always kind of tell people, like, Scott taught me how to cook, and Mike taught me how to be a chef. It's like, what are you doing leadership wise? Like, yeah, sure, you can cook, you know. And then like overall, like I really those first BBC series, like Boiling Point, that had Marco Pierre White, and you saw I think Boiling Point was Gordon Ramsay's.
Yeah, it was Gordon Ramsay.
What was Marco Pierre? It was first they did one with Marco Pierre White. Remember that one? And Gordon Ramsay's in the background.
Yeah, young cook Gordon. You're right.
Yeah,
he looks exactly the same, by the way.
Yeah,
in those videos. Yeah,
it's like,
why does he not age? Why does he always look that way?
And then the Boiling Point with him. I do think that like American media was like sensationalized the like calling people donkeys and stuff. And yeah, like I'm not, proud of any time that I let the temper get the best of me. But like you can't deny what he did for professional cooking.
Was that Marco?
Gordon Ramsay. Yeah. And just like his commitment to excellence and the BBC, like restaurant rescue one that he did, the one that was BBC where he's not yelling at it and it's put together really well. It's not like he's like having real.
It was like the original Kitchen Nightmares, right?
Yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah. Those were really good because you see the hospitality, you see the soul, It
wasn't the made for TV drama.
Yeah. And someone else is, gosh, it's really hard. You, buddy.
Yes, thank you.
What you're doing now. I mean,
well, I'll tell you, like, you're the first person to say that. Every single guest moving forward should say me.
Yeah. Well, I just like someone that's like looking at like, I'm
just kidding.
Make it like, something that I do think that like has been really beneficial with all the technology is just making it like stop gatekeeping. Stop like, I mean, anyone could cook. My favorite movie about cooking, like that's actually about cooking, is probably Ratatouille, and that like message that like everyone can cook. Like I do believe that it's more of a craft. Honestly, like Emeril Lagasse, dude.
Emeril,
he's like shit, man.
I love Emeril.
Yeah,
I love him. No one ever complains that the rat was tasting food.
That's true.
Like
he was washing his hands, bro.
They're like, and then like serving it. The rat's tasting food. Oh yeah, it's good. Go ahead and serve it. The rat approves.
It's a cartoon. My other two movies I recommend though, Whiplash.
It's a cartoon, but it's influencing kids to cook with rats on their shoulders.
Whiplash, about the drumming. One is I try to be a musician.
Yeah.
If anyone knows anything about music schools, they are not like that at all. Like you have like the instructors smoking weed, like they're all just like, hey, groovy, man. No one's that intense, but kitchens can be like that. And that message of like of this dude totally trying to breaking down this musician, and then they get to a point of mutual understanding, and it's when like the musician fights back and it's like, no, dude, I'm standing on equal level with you. That's a pretty great movie.
If when what people need to think about when they work in kitchens is you're going to work 8 or 10 hours or more, and you're either going to work and love it or you're going to work and not love it. But if you work and you love it, you'll be more successful.
Yeah.
So if you could decide that you love what you're doing, you will be more successful at it because the food's going to taste better. People are going to taste it through your food. People are going to want to be around you. It's going to become infectious. So if you're going to be in this business anyway, you have to work just as hard regardless. You might as well work hard and love it.
Oh man, like the last super long, I mean, you get tired when you're done with work, but like, when you put a 12-hour day in or a 14-hour day in, and like you're like at the end of it, you're like, I wish there was like 36 hours in a day because like this and this, I want to get set up for tomorrow, but there's just no time.
Yeah.
Like that's when you got something, I think.
Well, Chef, it was fun having you on. Where can people find you?
In Dallas, all
the restaurants.
I'll put my email up here.
Instagram handle?
C_Sergeant. It's spelled funky. No one in my family knows how to spell.
I'll put in the show notes.
Okay, my first name's spelled wrong. My last name's spelled wrong.
Yeah.
Anything I write is spelled wrong. Also, I use ChatGPT for that.
Yeah. There you go. Well, Chef,
thank you.
Good to have you on.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the show. You know what to do. Make sure you leave 5 stars if you're listening on Spotify or anywhere, really. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button. I'd completely revamped the Chef's PSA store, shop.chefspsa.com. My team added a ton of new items. I advise you to go check it out. Just peruse, look around. Maybe you see something nice that you like. Keep supporting the show. Go to chefspsa.com. You get books, obviously the merch, early access to episodes on Substack and Spotify for premium members. We'll see you next week. Hit the porno music.
no André in the kitchen, mixing, dropping chef knowledge, no fiction, stirring up the beats, heating up the session. Listen close, classes in session.